Hello ladies and gents, Hagbard Celine here, and this video is going to be slightly different. It's going to be very brief. It's another one of the optional videos that I'm occasionally going to put out between my other two videos just for shits and giggles. As I've threatened before, I've been digging through my comments section for one worth reading, and I stumbled on one by a longtime subscriber who has very high interaction rates that I just cannot stop myself from reading. I think my audience needs to hear it. I know that some of my more ardent watchers are going to disagree with some of the statements in here, but I would ask you to be patient and listen to a voice of reason. Thank you. The comment begins, "A point of contention for me is that third-wave feminists don't seem to have studied the second wave at all. They seem to have cherry-picked bits and pieces of it, relied on the words of the most strident feminist scholars, and thrown the rest away. It doesn't seem like they've even talked to anyone who lived through the second wave, in order to get an idea of the human experience. I can only assume their intention was for the unacceptable bits to be snuffed out and lost in the fog of history. I won't expand on it here, I just want to cover one aspect that relates to this video. This is my personal experience. 40 or so years ago, men lived under strict social protocol. Men didn't talk about feelings. Men didn't cry, and men were expected to have a hard, tough exterior. What most don't understand is that this was a cultural necessity. Most of the 20th century, and I'll add, most of history, had been war, and this social grooming of men was meant to condition them to have their demeanor of a warrior, prepared should another war break out. When the second wave of feminism came along, it preached that this battle readiness hurt men, and that feminism would free men and allow them to become human again. Some men were led to believe that because women were feminizing society, there'd be no more wars, so men no longer needed to wear this socially constructed armor. The new feminists wanted their men to be real. They wanted them to openly discuss their feelings, cry, and allow themselves to be vulnerable. Everything looks good on paper, but that doesn't necessarily mean it will pan out in the real world. There are men who genuinely wanted to please women, who embraced feminism and made a genuine effort to change, to remove the armor. Ironically, these were the earliest white knights, and it was nothing short of disastrous. After these men changed in an effort to please women, the women didn't even like them. It left both genders confused. These men had tried their best to please women, yet these same women now viewed them with contempt, even though the men had done exactly what had been asked of them. What women didn't foresee was that this quote-unquote new male was devoid of the very thing that had made them attractive in the first place, male toughness, machismo. Women were left with two types of men, the one who had changed and become unattractive, and the ones who hadn't succumbed, the male chauvinists. This was the beginning of the end of second-wave feminism. What's the use of being an empowered woman who believes she can have it all, but in the process has virtually destroyed her chances of finding a suitable male partner? What was the point of men trying to please women if the women weren't going to like the end result? It was a huge betrayal, a huge mistake. If we look at the present generation, we can see, because that issue had never been addressed, it provided fertile soil for the cultivation of the insanity that is third-wave feminism. The fatal blow had been struck. Unfortunately, third-wave feminism arose to resurrect the corpse of second-wave, flaws and all. We knew it was gone. After getting equal rights, we were willing to lay it to rest, knowing full well feminism had served its purpose. We have achieved the goals we set out to. What should have happened was a new movement that found suitable compromises that helped heal the relationships between men and women. Instead, third wave emerged and resurrected the old, broken feminism like Frankenstein's monster, patched it together with random, flawed parts and without correction. And that, kids, is why we have the abomination called white knights and feminists who hate men. Feminism should have been allowed to die. In its time, it served us well. Movements rise up, do their jobs, then die. It's normal. What's needed now is for feminism to be torn down and the damage it caused, in the end, compounded by its resurrection, repaired. She goes on to further clarify in another comment, but frankly, I think she said all she needed to say in the first, and I'd like to thank her for that comment because it was very inspiring to me. And I would like my audience to consider that she is an incredibly reasonable human being who knows that it's done and over with. and that indeed, women did deserve voting rights and did deserve to have all of the things that they have now, but we need to stop. It has to stop somewhere. It just does. Thanks for sitting through this, everyone. I hope you got something out of that comment, and I'll be back later. Goodbye and good luck out there.